Have you ever wanted something so bad, a huge dream, a huge goal, and you tell somebody about it and they break your heart by telling you only 1% of people can do that, right? Maybe you wanted to be an NFL player and you're told only 1% of people will make it. Or you wanted to be a great business person and get on all these high Fortune 500 lists and they say, oh, only 1% of people make it. Or maybe you want to be the best teacher ever and get some teaching award. Only 1% of people, only 1% of people, only 1% of people. And they try to break your heart and take your dreams by telling you only 1% of people. It's not true. It's not really like that. It's not really like that. And today I'm going to break down to you why this 1% myth is exactly that. I mean, yeah, of course, there really is only 1% of something, but I'm going to break down why it's not the way people make it seem and why you can still go after your dreams and make them happen. All right. Hey, look, I'm super excited. So I'm going to get right into this. Y'all know how I do it, right? I got my pen. I'm going to hit the record button here so I can start taking some notes on the screen for you all. Hope you have your pen. You take notes. It's cool. YouTube is entertainment. You want to watch, but it's even better if you're taking notes so you can grow. And before I write the first word on this page, I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you like what I'm making. But if you don't like what I'm making, hit the subscribe button anyways and help your boy get some subs up. All right, man, let's talk about this. I'm going to call it the 1% myth. The 1% myth. All right. And yeah, I'm using the word myth, but you call it a myth or inaccuracy or whatever you want to call it. That's what I'm going to call it. And here's the deal, right? When people talk about this 1%, only 1%, it doesn't account for a lot of things. And that's what this really comes down to. It doesn't account for a lot of things. So it can really be a whole lot more than 1%. Think about this. If somebody told you that they can get 100 people and every day one of them is going to die, would you like your odds in that? Like, you're talking about your whole life, everything you've built up, that they're telling you a 1% chance of dying. At that point in time, see, 1% probably feels like a lot. So we were thinking the first thing we got to realize is we think about 1% as being small. Well, 1% is really not even that small of a number, depending on how many people you're talking about and what you're doing, right? So they told me, okay, I'm going to put 100 people in the room, and every day I'm taking off 1%. Eventually, that 100 people gets a lot smaller. That 1% odd gets a lot higher, right? And that's just the way this thing kind of works. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and show you what I mean here on the screen, right? So if you have, let's do it like this. All these lines are people, right? So you got all them, and this is how we're going to break it down. We're going to break it down like this. So all these are people, right? I don't know how many I got. Let's just act like I got 100 to make the math easier, and that doesn't really matter. But all these are just little people. Okay, right? And I'm gonna work my way through this, and you're gonna see what I mean when I'm trying to tell you that you can be part of that only 1%. All right. The first thing you gotta do, so we gotta realize things and leverage things to break this 1% down, so you can become part of that 1%. Right. The first thing we gotta do, number one, is we have to leverage work. Right. You have got to leverage work. Check this out. Okay, let's look at my people up top, right? So they're telling you only 1% of all, say you want to go to the NFL. They're saying only 1% of all these people at the top of here can make the NFL. Let's use NBA because I'm a basketball guy. That's my bias, my video, so I'm going to use NBA. Let's say you want to go to the NBA, right? So they say, you know what, only 1% of people are going to actually make the NBA, okay? Well, let's really break that down first of all with the leveraging work. And when I say work, I mean effort, practice, all those things that you got to do, right? Well, out of all these people, there are going to be a lot of people that say, well, yeah, I want to go to the NBA, quote unquote. I want to go to the NBA, but they're not working. They're not working, right? So right off the bat, whoop, they're gone. They're gone. So yeah, only 1% of them made it. But these jokers over here, they're not even working. Right. And let's say now you're working, but you say, you know what, I really want to make it. Right. And there's different levels of work. Right? So these guys are working, but they're not working like Steph Curry. Right. So right off the bat again, whoop, they're gone. So when we're talking about 1%, these jokers aren't even really part of the 1% that you're in, right? So 1% of them might make it, but you're not even worried about competing with these jokers on the backside, because I don't mean to say it like the joker's a bad thing. Some of them just don't really want it like that, right? So some of them want it, but they're more into the life and the glamour. They want it for other reasons, and it's not the same as people who are really passionate about it. So right off the bat, that 1% is say 1 in 100 now has become 1 in 50 off the bat before anything really even got started, right? So you have to leverage work. So the thing about it is effort can increase your odds. Effort can increase your odds. They say only 1% of people are going to make it. Yeah, but immediately, boom, you're cutting out of half because half of them aren't even going to work hard, right? So that's the first thing you got to say. Okay, am I going to be in the half that works hard or the half that doesn't work hard? If you're in the half that works hard, your chances have increased significantly. Now your chances have doubled, right? Increased significantly. So again, let's think about Steph Curry here. Let's think about Steph Curry. They talk about Steph Curry takes, I don't know, X amount of shots, hundreds of shots a day or whatever growing up. I don't know. I've heard thousands or whatever. Who cares? People always say whatever. But the point is, he's getting his shots up, right? I'm saying Steph Curry shoots a lot. Compare him to the kid down the street who was not shooting a lot, right? Compare him to the kid down the street who's going to have better odds just off the bat based on that effort, right? Another thing about leveraging work is that I want you guys to think about is, when I say Steph Curry, some of you are thinking like, oh man, but he's the greatest shooter in the world. But you have to think about how he got there. And this will help you out a lot, right? So it's daily work. Daily work. It's step by step. It's small work. Small work. Think about climbing a mountain. Climbing a mountain. You don't have to do all the work. It's not like you just dump it all at once, right? Like climbing a mountain. What does that look like? You stand back from a mountain, you look up, you see this huge thing, like, oh my goodness, it's so huge. Only 1% of people make it. It's so hard. Well, all right, right off the bat, half of them are gonna like touch the mountain and you're gonna quit off the bat. So they're already out of there, right? And then the way you climb that mountain is you don't just say, I'm gonna jump to the top. You go rock by rock, reach by reach, small climbs, small. While your chance of getting to the top of the mountain are 1% down here. When you get up here a little bit higher, it's 2%, 3%, 4%, right? So let me draw that out for you guys. So you got a mountain here. Don't make fun of my mountain, right? You got a little slow cap here. So you got everybody down here at the bottom. Say, we're going to climb this mountain. Half of them are going to give up. They're going to go home. They're out of there, right? Another quarter of them will touch the mountain down here in the low end. Say, oh, nope, I'm up out of here. They give up. They're out of here. And then for the rest, a few of you who continue, right? Every step up this mountain that you get, the percentages are increasing. So you might be 2% here, right? And here you might be 5%. And then here you're 10%. And then all of a sudden it's going to be a huge jump. Now here you're 50%. And by the time you get to the ice cap, the snow cap, here you're 75%, right? And this percentage just keeps on going. But how is it going? It's because you're taking small climb. So when you're working towards being part of that 1%, what I want you to do is I want you to do small climb, go stone by stone. Don't go mountain by mountain, work stone by stone. And that adds up to mountains, right? You climb stone by stone, and that adds up to mountains. That's how this thing works. That's how you take yourself from the 1% to the, I'm saying it backwards, right? That's how you take yourself from not being the 1% to getting into the 1%. That's how you take your chances of success from 1% to 90%, right? Small steps. I'm reminded of Bible verse, Proverbs 14:3. And I got to pull up here. I want to read it to you guys. Oh man, I'm over here writing in a mess here. Let me clean this up for you guys here. Okay, somebody just jumps in and wants to see halfway. So the Bible verse is Proverbs 14:3, and it's a very simple verse. It's just about work. And not Proverbs 14:3. I'm sorry, it's Proverbs 14:23. The Bible verse is Proverbs 14:23. And what it says is, there is profit in all hard work, right? There's profit in all hard work, but endless talk leads only to poverty. First, so look, the people that are telling you only 1% of people make it, the ones that are like really looking out for you, kudos, good for them. But the ones that are just saying stuff just because they can't do it, right? People are going to tell you that because they can't do it, and then realize that you're a different 1%. Like, hey, you really are part of that 1%. Okay, so the first thing you gotta do is you gotta believe that, hey, maybe I am really part of that 1%, right? But that Bible verse says all hard work. It says there's profit in all hard work. So just work hard and it's going to be profit in it, right? It's simple. So let's not overcomplicate the Bible. Let's not overcomplicate these things, right? There's profit in all hard work. So that's the first thing I want to tell you guys about, right? If you want to increase your odds of success and go from, you know, whatever percentile you're at to being part of that 1%, let's start out by leveraging work. Second thing we're going to do is we're going to leverage access and really leverage relationships. I'll say that. Leverage relationships. There is absolutely no secret here that relationships, your network can change your chance of success, right? And I said access. So that's the first thing right there, access. Huge. I was talking to a trainer the other day, and we're talking about how, like, in the NBA, there's so many legacy kids now, so many kids going from so many parents who are players, their kids are starting to come up now in the NBA, right? You see Scottie Pippen Jr., you see Gilbert Arenas, of course, you see Bronny James, right? Gilbert Arenas' son Elijah, he's in high school, but he's on his way there, right? More likely, right? You see Carmelo Anthony's kid, I don't know if he'll make it or not, but he's on his way there. All these young high school kids are stars in where they're at right now, right? So you're seeing the NBA turn into this legacy type of thing. And I was asking a friend, I was like, man, are these kids really like that? Like, are they really that good to the point where, they're getting all this hype and such? He was like, yeah, some of them are, but, definitely access, right? These kids now have access. They have opportunity. They have access to see things that the other kids can't see, right? Which changes your mindset. Like, let them know it's real. They have access to certain trainers, certain facilities, certain resources. They have access. So leveraging a relationship takes you from from a 1% chance, and again, just because of your access, that can jump you up to I won't say 50. Let's just say that that could take you to a 40% chance, right? Access matters. So I run this deal, Black Men and White Coats, where we try to help people from underserved communities get into consider careers in medicine. This is what we're always talking about, right? And they've got that line. Everybody thought that I made it. We put out a movie. Everybody thought that I made this lineup. I did not make the lineup, but in the film, I said, you can't be what you can't see. I don't necessarily think that's true per se, but it's the idea, the ideology behind it we're trying to get across. You can't be what you can't see. So that statement is all about access, right? The statement is all about access. And the idea behind it is like, hey, if you can't see it's true, first of all, you're not going to know. If you don't have access to seeing it, to being in that environment, you're not going to know it's possible. Second of all, you're not going to be able, you have a very hard time getting the resources, the tools, the things you need to get in there. So if you want to increase your chance to get into that 1%, you got to leverage relationships to start getting this access. And access to your example, Trae Young. I'll give you two Trae Young examples, right? Trae Young, I'm a fan of his basketball game, smart guard, and I think he overcame a lot of things to get there. First of all, he had access because his dad, Rayford Young, played high level college ball. I believe might have played overseas and such, so he knew the game. So just access to his dad, he learned more than other people. So that automatically took him out of that 1%, took him closer to the 1%, right? So that's the first thing, right? The second thing is, and this is part of the access to his dad. His dad would purposely take him to different environments where the competition was harder, more dog-like, right? Where people had to just fight harder. He would take him. They lived in a nice environment, but he would take him to these rougher environments to put him in that different environment to prep him, get him in the mindset to be able to compete at the highest level, right? That's the second thing, access to getting into that environment, right? And the third thing, and I've mentioned this before, is I don't know if this story is true or not, so that's the caveat, but I've heard a story that when he was in high school, initially, like didn't get invited to the Nike Top 100 camp, which is one of the big camps that you want to go to. He didn't get invited to that camp. So his AAU coach made a phone call for him and told him, hey, you got to take a look at this kid, blah, blah, blah. And then he got into that camp. Access, right? To be part of this 1%, man, you got to leverage relationships. Happens in med school all the time. My wife went to Meharry Medical College. They've got a lot of kids there, at least they used to, whose parents went to Meharry Medical College too. Same thing with like the Harvards and the Yales, right? The legacy stuff. Access. It matters. It increases your chances. So I'm telling you guys this because I want you to work on your networking. I need you to work on your networking skills. A lot of people don't want to network and they say, oh, I'm going to figure it out on my own. Let me read you what Ecclesiastes says about that. Right? You don't want to necessarily go after all this on your own. So I'm not wearing my glasses, so without my glasses, it's hard for me to see because I can't wear my glasses because the lights reflect off it. And y'all like, why Dr. Dale looking like that on camera? But I got Ecclesiastes 4. So Ecclesiastes 4:9. And it says, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their efforts. For if either falls, his companion can lift him up. But pity the one who falls without another to lift him up. Right? Two are better than one because they have good reward for their efforts. For if either falls, his companion can lift him up, but pity the one who falls without another to lift him up. Also, if two lie down together, they can keep warm. But how can one person alone keep warm? And if someone overpowers one person, two can resist him. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. So, don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Leverage your relationships to give you access, to give you strength, to give you resources. So many things comes from relationships, and that can take you from being, in a position where you're in the top 30%, right? And that could jump you to that top 5%. You add a little bit of work effort to it, that jumps you to the top 2%. I hope you guys are starting to understand what I'm talking about now, right? Jumps to the top 2%, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go back to our percentages here right now. Okay, so these guys over here, again, remember, they were just like, nah, I'm not even gonna really go for it. I just say it. I'm just out here on the court. Like, let's think about basketball game. I'm just out here on the court, so let's knock them off. These guys, I want to play, but they don't really want to play. They're not working. They're out. Okay, so everybody here, these guys from here on over, they're all working hard. They're busting your butts. They're in there. Yeah, but these guys, they ain't got no access. They ain't got no resources. They don't know anybody, right? So bang. So they're out. They're trying to do it alone, right? And that it just keeps on stacking. So when you start thinking about it, right? Oh, only 1% to make it. Yeah, but where are you in this 1%? Where are you in this 1%? Right? Were you in this box? Were you in this box? Were you in this box? Or are you in this box? So now we got 25% left. So for a good amount of people, you're saying 1%, or let's use the basketball example. Let's say you're 7 feet tall. Off the bat, as a matter of fact, that's number 3. Number 3 is you got to consider what God's given you. You got to consider the faith aspect of this thing, right? Consider God. Let's say consider God. So first of all, God can do all things. I'm not going to leave faith out of this. Y'all know me. I'm not leaving faith out of this, right? You know the verse, right? I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength, right? Philippians 4:13. So God can do all things. Let's make that clear. So no matter what anybody tells you about what percentage chance of success you have, you got a God. So remember that. I want you to remember that, right? God can do all things. As a matter of fact, I got the verse here, Matthew 17:20. Matthew 17:20. You gotta have faith in your journey. You gotta have faith in yourself whenever you're chasing any major thing, right? You've got to have faith in yourself. But the bigger thing, really, the more important thing is you gotta have faith in God. You gotta have faith in God. I got Matthew 17:20 here. Matthew 17:20. Let's pull it up. And a lot of you guys are gonna know this. So disciples are talking to Jesus about why they couldn't, why they were overpowered by the demon. They couldn't cast out the demon, right? So let's start with Matthew 17:19. Then the disciples approached Jesus privately and said, why couldn't we drive it out? Again, talking about drive out demons. And then this is Matthew 17:20 here. Jesus replying to them, because of your little faith, he told them, for I assure you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will tell a mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Move from here to there, and it will move. You got to have faith that you can be a part of this 1%. You got to account for God in all this. And, I was triggered to jump to point number 3 a little sooner because I was up here in these boxes thinking, okay, let's say somebody trying to make the NBA here. These guys don't work. These guys kind of work, but not serious. They just want the fashion, the Instagram post, whatever that comes along with that life, right? These guys over here, they, they didn't have the network, and there's more stuff I'm going to add to that box here in a second, right? But these guys here, so now you're part of the 25%. Now you got a 25% chance, right? You got a 25% chance now, right? But what if you're 7 foot? What if God made you a 7-footer? Off the bat, you have like a 1 in 7, or whatever, 1 in 7 chance, and then you knock all these things off, right? So off the bat, if you're 7 foot and you've made it to the 25% box now, you're as good as guaranteed, right? You're as good as guaranteed if that's what you really want to do, right? But let's go ahead and knock some other folks off here. Things to consider. That 1%. Well, some of these folks gonna get in trouble. They're gonna make a bad decision. So boop. So they're gone off the bat. Some of them ain't gonna study. Your grades ain't gonna be right. And I'm talking about school, but same thing for business. They're not gonna do the business homework they got to do, right? So I know some of you all, a lot of you guys watching this are probably into business, starting your companies, right? You competing against a lot of people who aren't gonna take the time to get a coach. They're not gonna take the time to read what they got to read. They're not gonna take the time to learn how to do your books, whatever, right? They're not gonna take the time to learn how to run ads, right? So they're out of there, right? So now you talk about, okay, the 1% myth. Okay, really, now you're part of the small group, and your odds, rather than your odds being 1%, now your odds are more like 90% chance, right? Because you knocked off 90% of people already, right? And that's how this thing works. Right? So you got to have faith, man. And you have to consider the position that God has put you in. Position God has put you in. But I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying clearly. You have all these people to start with. They tell you only 1% of them can make it. They say, "Oh, you can't make it. You can't start a business, a multi-million-dollar company. Only 1% of people can do that, right?" That's what you're telling you. But you got to look. How many of them really want it? How many of them are working at it? How many of them are going to take the time to build the right connections, right? And so on and so on. So when you consider that group of people, now it's more like off the bat, your chances of success are super high. Don't let that 1% number scare you. What you have to do, what you need to do is you need to leverage work. So outwork. I'm such a believer in outwork. And I want you to work hard, but also you need to be working smart. You need to be working smart, right? You need to be working smart. That's the key. And part of the way you work smart is by leveraging your relationships. Take the time to build the relationships. Who is your mentor? Who is your coach? And pay for a coach if you need to. If you find the right person, if you're able to pay for the coach if they're the right person. I know people always like, oh no, spend the money. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? If they're the right person, if you feel in your heart that you can connect with this person, right? Pay for the coach as long as you're not trying to run you over, right? Think about it. You spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars going to college, and now you're in this situation and you don't want to spend $20,000 and get a coach who can tell you exactly how to do what you're trying to do. Pay for the coach. It's part of your relationships, right? If you're able to do it. And the most important thing is always consider God, because God can take a David and make him into a king, right? This morning I'm reading through the book of Samuel, right? So God can take Samuel and turn him into a high priest, right? So consider God. When God is involved in the picture, percentages do not matter. When God is involved in the picture, percentages don't matter. Say, you'll have 1% chance of making it. Well, God can make that 100% chance of making it. God can make that 100% chance of making it. Remember that. Take the time to pray. Take the time to build your faith. Take the time to consider God in all you do. Man, all right, fam. I hope you're getting this, right? Because if you're watching this video to this point, it's my assumption that you've got something that you really, really want to do, right? You've got something, you've got a dream, you've got a goal, something you really, really want to do. And people have told you how hard it is. And yes, it's hard, but have faith the size of a mustard seed. Outwork everybody. Consider your relationships and leverage them. And always, always, always keep God first. Hey, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. These things really mean a lot to the channel. They help the channel grow. It helps me reach more people. And honestly, I'll just be frank with you, right? When I'm seeing these subscribers go up and when I'm seeing likes on the videos, it just gives me some positive motivation. It makes me feel good to know that you guys actually value the information that I'm putting out there. And and it makes me want to make more videos for you all. That's kind of the way it works, right? When I'm seeing them, I get excited for you, and it gets me excited to make more videos for you, right? So please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button, and remember, you have permission to be great. I'm praying for you guys, and I love you.